الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم هو الذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينشئ السحاب الثقال ويسبح الرعد بحمده والملائكة من خيفته ويرسل الصواعق فيصيب بها من يشاء وهم يجادلون في الله وهو شديد المحال له دعوة الحق والذين يدعون من دونه لا يستجيبون لهم بشيء إلا كباسط كفيه إلى الماء ليبلغ فاه وما هو ببالغه وما دعاء الكافرين إلا في ضلال ولله يسجد من في السماوات والأرض طوعا وكرها وظلالهم بالغدو والآصال صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. هو الذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا. Another sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling people, inviting people to think about is that Allah is the one, He is the one who makes you see lightning, barq, lightning. Khawfa wa tama'a. People see it with fear and with hope. And we all know that lightning, the bright sparks in the sky that we see, they are a wondrous thing for us and they make us scared. They are something that we fear. But also, because it is a good sign that the rain is about to come, especially if you think about deserts where they have very minimal amount of rainfall, when they see this lightning and they take it as a sign of rain coming, how happy, how hopeful they become. Also, it is a thing of a fear. So think about the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how in the same thing, at the same time, in the exact same situation is occurring, and it is a source of fear and it is a source of happiness. Who can do it apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَيُنْشِئُ السَّحَابَ الثِّقَالِ. And think about the clouds. Heavy clouds, the rain that falls, if you collect it and you weigh the water, it is very hard. The water is very heavy, but all that water is flying in the air. This is the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, Sahab al-thiqal, heavy clouds, very heavy clouds. Who is there who can make them, who can form them? And the perfect way of formation is that such heavy water is traveling over your heads that if all of that water falls at the same time on your head, all of you will be crushed. But Allah carries that water, Allah gives that water a form, such a form that it is traveling in the winds and it is carried by the winds, and when it falls in such a way that it becomes acceptable and you are able to take it. All of this is, who can do it except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Such perfect wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such a perfect plan. وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ. Ra'd literally means thunder. So first was talk about lightning, now the talk about thunder, which you hear. It does tasbih. The thunder proclaims the purity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bihamdi. He proclaims the purity, yusabbihu ar-ra'du bihamdi, with his praise. Ra'd, the thunder, and some hadith mentions that it is actually an angel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is doing the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing the hamd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wal malaikatu, and not only the thunder but all angels. Wal malaikatu min khifatih, out of Allah Ta'ala's awe, Allah Ta'ala's respect, Allah Ta'ala's fear. All the angels also praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and proclaim His purity, chant His purity. Ra'd is something that the thunder, the Arab people and everywhere, even today, when we hear it, it creates that deep-seated fear within us. We hear it and we are shaken. Allah is saying that even that Ra'd is that such a thing that you consider very huge, very big. it is also praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing the hamd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are much, more powerful, they have been given so many powers and everything, they are also praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُرْسِلُ الصَّوَاعِقَ فَيُصِيبُ بِهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ. صَاعِقَ, the plural is صَوَاعِق. These are that lightning or that thunderbolt which actually falls on the earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who controls it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends it down. You cannot control it no matter how hard you try. Allah sends it down فَيُصِيبُ بِهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strikes with it whomsoever Allah wills. وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. They are quarreling about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are fighting about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. He is very stern, very strong, very authoritative in his ways, in his plan, in his mihal, with the kasra of mim. It is not mahal. Mahal is something impossible, hard to imagine, but mihal is something which is the plural of hila in a way. The ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is very strong, very stern, beyond you, and you are quarreling about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lahu da'watul haqq. The true call. Da'wah means call. When we invite somebody, we call somebody to our house, we call it in our language da'wat. So da'watul haqq, the true call, the one who deserves to be called and the one who is going to answer the call, in both meanings. The right, the true, the well placed, the appropriately placed call is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lahu da'watul haqq. True prayers, and also it's a command that prayers are only to be directed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lahu da'watul haqq. وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ. Those people who invoke anyone else, call upon anyone else, to whom they pray, anyone else apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُونَ لَهُم بِشَيْءٍ. They cannot respond, they cannot answer at all, even about a single thing, even about the tiniest thing. So these idols and everything they are calling upon, what can they do for them? إِلَّا كَبَاسِطِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهُ وَمَا هُوَ بِبَالِغِهِ. This is a proverb in that day's language of Arab people, that when they said that somebody is doing such a foolish thing, somebody is doing something very stupid, which is impossible to happen, they are saying that they are stretching their hand towards the water, that the water will come to them. So Allah is using their lingo and telling them that this is the example, that somebody stands at the edge of a well and puts down their hand to catch water, or ask the water to come to them. The water is not going to listen, the water is not going to come. So that is as stupid, as foolish as doing that. Some of us have also written that the meaning is that you're trying to catch water with your hand. You cannot catch water with your hand, you cannot hold, it's going to pass, it's not going to stay there. وَمَا هُوَ بِبَالِغِهِ. So he is thinking that the wish is that لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهُ, that it may reach his mouth by itself. وَمَا هُوَ بِبَالِغِهِ, while it is not to reach it. وَمَا دُعَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. The prayer of the disbelievers, the calls that they make to their false gods, is nothing except dhalal. No point, pointless, it's totally void. وَلِلَّهِ يَسْجُدُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. To Allah bows in prostration, in sajda, everything, whoever is in the samawat, in the skies or on the earth. قُلِ اللَّهُ وَالْأَرْضِ طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا. Willingly or unwillingly, with their pleasure or without their want, with them wanting it. So the meaning here is that a believer, human beings and all other creations, they have their tasbih, they know how to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to do zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are doing it. But in human beings also, they all do it willingly. All the creations apart from human beings, they do it, and the jinn kind, they do it willingly. But among the human beings, there's believers and disbelievers. So the believers do it willingly, but even the disbelievers, in that the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is executed upon them, they do not have any control. When Allah wants, they have become alive. When Allah wants to harm them, Allah harms them. When Allah decides for them to lose something, they lose something. When Allah decides for them to die, they die. So in that, they are also bowing in prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are also doing sajda before the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if they don't want to do it. But that is what they are doing. That is the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, and that is prevailing. And not only them, but وَظِلَالُهُمْ, not only the human beings, but their all creations, their zilal as well, their shadows as well. So if you look at the ends of the day, the shadow increases and decreases. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that shadow is also doing sajda bil ghudubi wal asal, in the mornings and in the evenings. So who can control their shadow not doing sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Even their shadow is doing sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This last ayah is the ayah of sajda. To make a sajda, when you hear this ayah, is wajib. If it is prayed in tilawah, in the recitation during the salah, then you have to make sajda in salah. That's why we see in Taraweeh, then when the imam reads this ayah, they make a sajda right away. That's the best way to do it. If not, if the jamaat is bigger, or if you understand that most people will not understand, or a lot of people will not understand, their salah will be jeopardized, then it is permissible that instead of this sajda, the ruku would suffice for that sajda. Otherwise, the best way is that whenever you hear this ayah, you have to make sajda. And if you're not praying and you listen to this ayah, then you have to make sajda. It's best to make the sajda right away. And it's a wajib, it remains on the person, it remains a responsibility. If in one sitting somebody is learning the Quran, or somebody is listening to somebody who's reading the Quran, and they read this ayah multiple times, then one sajda per sitting. So if in one sitting you listen to this ayah many times, then you have to make sajda only once. So these are the some short brief rulings about the ayat of sajda. There's roughly 12 sajda in the whole Quran, depending on the fiqh you follow. Imam Shafi has also mentioned some other places where sajda should be made. But anyway, wherever this ayah is there in the Quran, on the side is also mostly written in most mushaf that as-sajda or sajda. Wherever this ayah is written, sajda should be made. The way to make sajda is that a person stands up, they do not raise their hands, they just say, without raising their hands, just say Allahu Akbar and go into sajda like they do in salah. And the tasbih of sajda, subhana rabbiyal a'la, 3 times, 5 times, 7 times, however many times, and they say Allahu Akbar and then get up and the sajda is done. This is the way to make sajda. You have to have wuzu for it, you have to be in a state of purity for making this sajda. اللهم اجعلنا من أهل القرآن الذي أهله خاصتك. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.